The New Madrid and Missouri earthquakes from 1811 to 1812 rattled nearly the entire eastern half of the United States. People felt the shaking over a million square miles. It startled President Madison in the White House 900 miles away. Closer to the source of the earthquake, the Mississippi River flowed backward over new waterfalls formed by the shifted earth. Fissures several miles long split the ground and swallowed several people, then belched out geysers of water, mud, sand, and coal. And at the epicenter, the quake completely destroyed the town of New Madrid, Missouri. Modern seismologists estimated that the 1812 New Madrid earthquake at 7.5 to 8.0 magnitude, though some say it could have rated as much as 8.8. It's recognized as the strongest earthquake ever to strike east of the Mississippi River. But the February 7th earthquake was just the climax of the series of major earthquakes and constant minor rumblings that had shaken the Midwest since 1811. To this day, the total number of deaths is unknown because it was not heavily populated at the time. Not much information was written down from the event due to lack of literacy, delays in communication, and the remoteness of many farms and small communities. However, there was a huge loss of trees in the area and many remains of dead fish at the bottom of the lakes. Furthermore, this disaster hurt migration and population numbers in the area for the future. People were afraid to move there because there was an uncertainty if the land was still stable. Next, the landscape was very much altered after the earthquake. Most of the damage was affected along the rivers. The disaster itself extended south to the Gulf Coast, southeast to the Atlantic coast, and northeast to Quebec, Canada. Islands disappeared, banks caved into rivers, and fissures opened and closed in the riverbed. As one would assume with an earthquake, the geosphere was also affected. The faults under Missouri and Arkansas were settled in the middle of the North American plate, which is a web of cracks that were formed in the continental crust nearly 750 million years ago. The cracks that are left are now a fringe of weakness in the crust that is now below the Midwestern United States. To conclude, the disaster led Congress to pass in 1815 the first Disaster Relief Act, providing the landowners of ravaged ground with an equal amount of land in an unaffected region. This leaves us with questions. Could it and will it happen again? There was evidence in 1912 by M.L. Fuller of the United States Geological Survey with topographic and geological evidence. He said, ground cracks as large as any caused by the 1811-12 earthquakes, in which trees fully grow 200 years old, grew from the bottoms and slopes, indications of more recent faults and of sandstorm dikes filling old earthquake cracks. When could it happen again? There's no way of telling besides using magnitude and intensity recurrence curve from scientists. Could it happen today? The effects would be much worse than in the 1800s because there's a huge increase in population and more infrastructure in the area to be affected for the years to come.